Before it came out, I was pretty darn worried about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Despite all the praise that the franchise had gotten, I personally didn't particularly like Kingdom Come Deliverance 1. Part of that, I will freely admit, was a skill issue, but overall, I found its representation of 15th century Bohemian history to be propagandistic at best and outright inaccurate at worst. So I'm actually really pleased to say that, yeah, I was wrong. In almost every regard, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a significant step up in quality from its predecessor. One of the issues I had with Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 was how flat its perspective was. The developers at Warhorse Studios defended that choice by saying that the setting of the first game was extremely rural, and so diversity and different lived experiences that we would expect to see in a more urban environment simply weren't relevant. So, even though the first half of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is still pretty rural, it's a little bit less, and they really did take advantage of that. And as we move into the second half of the game in Kutenberg, or Kutna Hora, they really put in a lot of work to represent some diversity. That was really lovely to see. To use a specific example, in the first act of the game, there's a camp that is a mix of Romani, humans, and otherwise refugees or social outcasts. There's a Jewish character in there. Well, I think it's unlikely that that camp would necessarily be traveling together all at once. The diversity of perspectives it provides is really, really lovely to see, and they really dig into the humanity of those people in the side quests far, far better than anything in Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 did. Though we didn't get to it in gameplay, when we get to Kutnahora, there is a black character, Musa. Funnily enough, during Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, I basically exactly called what Musa's backstory was going to be, as the most plausible way that they could get a North African or even Malian character into 15th century Bohemia without it kind of needing to invent a history out of whole cloth. So basically, right, he's a mercenary who was in Iberia, gets hired by Sigismund to then do the wars in Bohemia because that was part of Sigismund's territory. And that's exactly what they did, and it's great. I love it. They also do a much better job in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at portraying religion. One of my big frustrations with the first game is how extremely, extremely superficial belief seems to be. People will walk around saying the right things, but the actual cults of saints, pilgrimages, chapter houses, all of the infrastructure of belief isn't there. And instead, it's Kickstarter backers, right? All the saints and all the chapels were Kickstarter backers. When there's saints like Saint Mauritius, who was frequently portrayed in 15th century medieval art as black, that are getting erased in favor of these Kickstarter backers, it becomes really frustrating. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 kind of repairs all of that and stays a lot closer to the historical attested saints in this period. Like with the first game, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is absolutely gorgeous. It is, without a doubt, the best representation of medieval clothing, medieval, fashion styles, even beyond clothing, tools, accessories, hats, glasses, all that stuff. The natural environment is incredible. Kudenberg looks fantastic. It looks so pitch perfect to how the city would have been in its 15th century heyday. There's just a lot to love in that. They do a lot of work with the archaeology and with historical records in order to make it as grounded as possible in the street layouts, the way houses operate, room layouts, kitchens, all of that stuff. The reality is game development mean that there's kind of a little more repetition than we would like, or than is actually historically attested, but I don't blame them for that. All right, Winter, you gotta get down now. Even though there's a lot to like, I'm not gonna be here and pretend that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is perfect. In fact, one of the things that's frustrating to me about it is that the closer we get to having a video game that really, really closely portrays historical reality, the more the places where that doesn't work become apparent. Let's talk narrative. The first half of the narrative works, I think, really, really well. So you get ambushed and you lose all your stuff. And you have to rebuild from scratch using a wedding as an excuse to kind of get in with the local lord and then work your way up the food chain to be able to accomplish the diplomatic mission that you were sent on. That works really well. Once that happens, though, we lean more into 1960s historical movies than we do necessarily the historical reality. Henry gets to be extremely cool and moral and dramatic, get himself on the side of a feud, and then run in with Czech national hero Jan Žižka. If you don't know Jan Žižka, despite being one-eyed and eventually almost totally blind, he really never lost a battle during the Hussite Wars, and so kind of becomes a linchpin for Czech medievalism. We get to meet him, and because this is cinema and it's so cool, we get to put out one of his eyes. And that makes us best friends. After that, we're really kind of staying much more in this cinematic biopic. There's a series of Czech films from the 50s that are about Jan Žižka that Daniel Vavra and much of the team at Warhorse has admitted to being fans of and adopted the visual language from. So we're just seeing more of that. That's not a bad thing, but it is a spot that kind of exists in tension with the side quests and a lot more of the otherwise more grounded historical things. In the environments and fashion, things also sometimes felt superficial while I was playing it. People had the same problem where, you're not making multiple sets of clothes for NPCs. That's fine, that's not a big deal. But that means we're seeing peasant NPCs wearing their absolute best embroidered brocaded clothes to go play in some wood. You wouldn't do that. You would be wearing very, very simple clothes. And so wandering around and having that visual incongruity of people dressed according to medieval styles, doing the right kinds of labor in the right environment, but it's not the right style for the labor. It ends up creating a immersion breaking friction point where it just doesn't quite work with the authenticity and with the immersion that they wanted it to. That's an inevitable reality of game development, but it's such an impactful one. This goes into the environment as well. So even though all the flora are correct, all the fauna are correct, the right species of plants are growing in the right locations, it's never a system, right? It is a painting. It is an extremely, extremely beautiful, well put together painting, but it is still a painting. This continues to be a problem as we get into the actual mechanics of the game. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 simultaneously has its NPCs be way too good at combat and way too bad at combat. They're way too good at combat in that the stance system looks like they've all gone through historical European martial arts training, right? They all look like they have taken fencing lessons and they know what their guards are and they move between the guards. They're then undertrained in that from this guard, they do big giant wide swings and act like the Meisterhau, the master strokes that are the foundational methods of German longsword cuts, are these never before seen uncounterable super spicy things. They're literally your fundamentals. They are things you learn on day 1 of a modern HEMA class, and frankly probably day 3 or 4 of a period class taught by a traveling master. Right, they move and walk and act and hold weapons like they have training, and then do these very cartoony, overwrought, deeply unlike historical fighting moves from these poses. It's weird. I don't really know how to sum it up, but I can't say that I always thought the combat was fun. This continues to partially be a skill issue, and when you fight someone who is also trained in the game, as you do in one side quest in Kudenberg, it actually feels fantastic even when you get your ass kicked. But fighting random bandits and things, people we don't expect to have formal training, you end up with, again, this weird disconnect that really hurt at least my own immersion and my own sense of reality of this place. Still, overall, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has so much more good than it has bad, and the problems I outlined with it are in no way, shape, or form unique to this game. It's a problem all open-world historical games in some way, shape, or form have to deal with. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 deals with it better than most, and it is a testament to how close it is getting to be a genuinely brilliant historical open world game that I am noticing those friction points. And something like an Assassin's Creed game, there are so many friction points, so many fictions that, I stops being worth commenting on. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is good. It is very good. And so even though I contradict that sometimes in the rest of the playlist, I wanted to be able to say that, yeah, there is a lot to like here. Is it my favorite historical game of all time? No, it's not even top 3. But it does have a lot to recommend it, and I hope you enjoy us poking around, commenting on it in the rest of the playlist below. Thanks very much for watching, and if you did enjoy this, do let me know so that we can do these historical reviews kind of more concurrent with the games we're playing going forward. I do hope you'll join us in the live streams that occur every weekend for our ongoing series, and regardless, I hope you all have a very lovely rest of your days.